his response, this is what he said verbatim: it would be ideal to bring Final Fantasy 16 to the Final Fantasy 14 crowd, but this is not something I can decide alone. I need to discuss it with the producer of Final Fantasy 14. I will ask his opinion, and if he says it is possible, then it is okay to cooperate. What is this,
man?
That's hilarious.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan. Joining me, as always, are my good friends Hunter and Kyle. Hey guys, how you doing?
I'm doing just swell.
I don't know how to connect it. I don't know. I literally I sneezed like a minute beforehand, and then my voice was like all like, and then here we are. We're here. It's fine.
Yeah.
You guys had a fun week? It's been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been cool. Been playing video games.
Kyle's been off, so you played like
I had
the
the
whole
week
of
off,
Octopath, didn't you?
Binged all of Octopath. Good
Dirty
video game.
You absolutely
Good
degenerate.
freaking
Look at you
video
go.
game.
Yeah, there's a review.
Phenomenal video game.
There's a
Reviews
review?
up. Yeah, go check it out.
There's a review.
Spoiler free, by the way.
Apparently not, according to
Do
the
not
comment
let the
section.
comments deceive you.
You put
Let's
a
sing
Square
it in the
Enix
comment.
trailer in it, and all of a sudden you've ruined it for everybody involved, even though it was a public trailer that I think was like pretty well.
The chances are, if you were looking up a review and landed on ours, you were already familiar with the promotional material.
Probably, you'd think, but
Yeah.
hey ho, it's out there. Cal did a great job on it. I edited it; it was all right. So
Thank
go
you
and
for
check
the
it
edit.
out. It's on youtube.com/hotgamesonly if you want to go check that out. But in the meantime, we're not here to talk about Octopath Traveler 2 because we've talked enough about Octopath Traveler in
We
the
did
past
that
week.
last week.
We did
Go check
in
that
two
out as
different
well.
forms. You can go check those out, whichever way you want. Thank you for the support on that, by the way. Did really great on
Yeah.
YouTube. Did really great on podcasts as well. So that's usually unusual because usually episodes that don't do too well on YouTube do well on podcasts and the other way around. So everyone likes
We
that
didn't
one.
leave the goofy clickbait either.
And I didn't use overrated, and it worked. So thank you everybody for proving that we don't have to put. I think, to be fair, I think that people will show up if it's a new game regardless. We don't have to put overrated, but I might still do it from time to time just to make you all angry. So thank you for the support, appreciate it. Remember to click on it. Click on it
We
twice.
have not learned our lesson.
The Xenoblade 3 expansion overrated? Question mark.
I genuinely am just going to do
exclamation
it just to spite those three people. Like, everybody else understood that from the place we were coming from, that we loved the game. And it was, like I say, it was 2 of our game of the years out of the 3 of us.
Yeah.
But, it's just all fun and games, isn't it? As we try and find a way into using the YouTube algorithm so that we get more than 2 people watching, and one of them being Hunter and another one being one of Hunter's relatives. So, we got to try and expand the viewer pool just a tiny bit. And we appreciate you all hanging out with us. This week, we got a couple of new games. We have got Wo Long Fallen Dynasty, is it? Is that what it's called?
Wo Long Fallen Dynasty. Yeah.
Yes,
That
that's
is
where
really cool.
Hunter has played a bit of it. I have played some of it as well. I was supposed to be the person that played a lot of it, but I didn't. Tee-hee, oopsie doopsie. But we'll talk about it regardless. Metroid Prime Remastered has finally hit physical. Do I have it? I do. It's somewhere. There it is. Ah!
It's in
There
the
it is.
ends.
It's here. There we go. It's out.
Wow.
We finally got it. We've got it. Hunter
Metroid.
doesn't. I've got it. Wow. It's great.
Haha.
I don't get it till Tuesday.
I also don't have it, Hunter. Don't worry.
But yeah, we're gonna apparently they've had a right mare with the physical copies of this just everywhere. So I'm sure this is gonna be really fun for collectors who didn't pick it up.
when you shadow drop things.
Hey ho, there you go. I'll talk about that. I've played the first few hours of that, so I'll give you my impressions. As someone that isn't familiar with Metroid Prime, this is my first time playing it. We'll talk all about that. I have played Psychonauts. I finally went on my. I said I'd play Psychonauts, and I did. I played through the entirety of Psychonauts 1 and a tiny bit of 2. So
Yeah,
we'll talk
Ethan.
about that. And then Hunter's also played Signalis, so we've got plenty to talk about. And like I said, Cal's got nothing. Cal's just going to ask a load of questions and smile and nod because he's just been playing Octopath all week. So
Dude, this
you
is...
know.
You know how you guys are both taking a week off when or when Tears of the Kingdom comes out? This was my Tears of the Kingdom week.
I'm taking perhaps a day off.
I'm
Ethan's
taking a
the one
week
with
off.
the-
I'm taking
Ethan's
a
the
week
one
off.
with the scheduled time off.
And you can also guarantee, because you know the way that my brain works and how my attention span works, that I'll take a whole week off for Breath of the Wild, and I'll probably spend roughly around 3 of those days actually playing Breath of the Wild, and the rest of it I'll be doing other things, and then going, I should really go and play Breath of the Wild, and then not playing it. And it's called Tears of the Kingdom, so I don't know why I'm still calling it Breath of the Wild. Anyway, we got plenty to talk about, so we'll get into it. But hey, if you're new to the show, hey, make sure to leave us a follow if you're on podcast services. Appreciate positive reviews as well. And hey, if you're at YouTube, go to youtube.com/hotgamersonly. Hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 200 subs as quickly as possible, so any support, that'd be great. Seriously, it does a lot for just pressing one button. And hey, you can just even mute it. You can ignore it. You can do whatever you want. Just please subscribe. It makes us feel better and like we're actually growing. That'd be awesome. Thank you very much. I guess we're starting with Wo Long. We'll start with it because it's the new game. We should probably start with the game that actually released this week.
Yeah, probably.
So, Hunter, for context, how much time did you put into Wo Long Fallen Dynasty?
To be clear, I played the demo that was the first 2 missions of it.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get, I think around 2.5 hours out of that. So, pretty sizable for being a demo that's like, play this and then you can take the progress with you if and when you get the full game. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I played the full version, but like that makes a difference anyway because Hunter got far further than I did. But I played it on Game Pass because it is a day one Game Pass game. So if you're on Xbox and you have Game Pass, hey, this is something to keep on your radar and take that in mind as we go through our little discussions here. But I roughly played probably an hour. I think it was somewhere along the range of an hour. I didn't put much time into it. I put more time into Metroid, I'm not gonna lie. But Hunter, for those who are unaware, like I was until I booted it up, what is Wo Long? Can you give us a kind of brief descriptor of what kind of game it is?
All right, so Wo Long Fallen Dynasty is a new action RPG made by Team Ninja, who previously dipped their toes into this kind of genre with Neo and Neo 2. Wo Long is essentially taking that kind of notion and applying it to a new setting with the Three Kingdoms era of Chinese history. So if there's any Dynasty Warriors nerds out there, I think you'll be seeing a lot of the similar names.
And I pray for your recovery soon. I do. I really do. It's like it's one of those series. It's kind of like I'm sure people feel the same way about Yakuza, where they see like 8 games all set in the same city, and it's like, how do people go through 8 40-hour games of this? And I do the same thing with Dynasty Warriors, where I look at it and I'm like, how have you all played like 6 million of these games? I played the Zelda one and the Persona one, and I was like, I think I'm tapped out. I respect it if that's your thing, but I'm like, it's a very there's so many games. There's just too many of them. Anyway, so yeah, Wo Long is very much, if Neo was trying to be a bit Soulsy, I'd say that this one is trying to be a bit Sekiro-y.
Yeah,
and I feel like it does it in a good way and also a there's pros and cons to this approach. I feel like it's a very weird kind of feeling game because I'm very new to the Souls kind of genre, right? I've played Bloodborne and I've played Elden Ring. Those are my 2 big Souls games. And so I'm used to, with these kinds of games, I'm very much used to the way that FromSoft games feel, which I haven't played Sekiro. So I know that one's a lot more fast, it's faster paced, it's a lot more, the movement's faster, you've got a lot more kind of movement mechanics in it. So playing this game and having like these Souls-like kind of mechanics of, don't fuck up or you're dead, and, all these parry, all this kind of pattern recognition, all that stuff, but then have it in a faster kind of shell and in a way that with a weight that doesn't feel Soulsy in the slightest, Hunter. Like you feel like you you zoom
Neo
in
was
like
the
it's
same
Sonic
way
in parts
where,
of it.
Neo, when I played that, I actually vibed with Neo enough to play it back when it released, which even up to then I hadn't tried Bloodborne for more than the first level. And because it was quicker paced, I felt like the struggle to payoff ratio was a little bit better when I was playing Neo at first. So yeah, this is very much kind of the same kind of notion applied if you were to take the bones of like Sekiro for comparison there.
I think the thing that I my personal opinions on this is one, character creator is pretty good. It's got a pretty good character
Oh yeah,
creator. If
dude,
you're
it
into
had like
character creators.
4 different options for different segments of hair, and I'm like, oh my god, this is
Oh
revolutionary.
yeah, it had like primary hair, secondary hair. You could add bangs
you
to
could
yourself off all
customize the
other
bangs, the
haircuts, yeah.
ponytail, the like bottom part all separately. It
And
was
they all have
wacky.
different colors and stuff like that, and tints, and
Yeah.
you can dye your accents and you do all that weird stuff that you
Yeah,
like to
it was-
do. You can have a field day, or if you're like me, you can change a couple of things and go, well, that person looks as Brexit as I possibly can make them. Let's just go with that, and then you just butcher it. That's every time I touch a character creator, I just make I change 2 things. They look disgusting, and I'm like, well, job's done, boys. Let's go home. Pack it up.
Usually I settle for changing the eye color in the hair and don't bother with changing up the
I just
face
usually
or
I'm just like,
anything
oh,
because-
you can. I'm like, oh, cool. You can change the face things. Then I make their forehead go stupider, and then I can never get it back to the same place. And I'm like, well, I guess we're just going with Mega Mind.
They
for this
typically
run.
come with like reset to default.
Yeah, but at that
buttons
point,
even.
I'm like, I've made my curse. I will lie with it. I'm not pressing the reset button because I've got the eye color that I wanted now, so I'm not changing. I've gone too far.
Dude, my advice is on character creators, never goof around with the nose. If you ever move that, you can never get it back right, and nothing will ever look correct again.
But yeah, it's got a good character creator, so if you're into character creators, you'll have a field day with this. One thing that I will say, and I said it in the pre-show, is for the most part, I think this game's really solid. If you're looking for a game that's kind of Sekiro-y, kind of Soulsy, that's in this period, and you can kind of jive with it, I feel like you're probably going to like it. I didn't really care for it. I'm not going to go and pick it up again after messing around with it. But that's not because it's a bad game. It's just because I didn't jive with it very much. But one thing that I will recommend is, and I rarely do this, I'm rarely a snob, turn on the voice acting to a different language because the English localization is not very good. It's like... It's real, like, I love Kingdom Hearts. This is coming from a place where I can put up with the worst voice acting of all time, but half an hour of this voice acting and I was done. I said to Cal, I was like, I can't tell if it was like undiagnosed ADHD, but I ran off instantly. As soon as I heard the voice, I was like, nope, bye. Like, I'm going to go check Twitter for 30 minutes and reminisce on other things. It's just, I don't know what it is about it. It's just like, it does, like, none of the voices that I heard in the entire game, like, jive for me. I don't know if you were any different, Hunter, but it was like they were just really
like nothing was remarkable, but nothing really took me out of it either. Like
there was a bit where the guy licked his lips in a cutscene, and then the guy made like this really weird noise, and I was like, no.
He did like the Hannibal Lecter thing.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
I ate his liver in a nice Chianti.
And it's just like, I don't know if it's because I'm used to with more recent games when they've been set in these kinds of, in these time periods and stuff like this, right? Where it's like, I've heard some of the voice acting as Sekiro, or when I play a game like Elden Ring and has a fantasy setting and everyone sounds fucking anemic, or when you go to like, or I don't know why that was the word I used to describe it, but it's true when you think about it. And as much as we love to disagree with the general consensus on this game, Ghost of Tsushima, where you actually play that game, and even with the English localization on that, everything still feels kind of authentic and in the world, whereas this kind of feels like you've got this kind of, like you say, this kind of Chinese dynasty kind of setting, and everybody's talking like they're a 2000s American in an anime, and I'm like, it's not
goofy,
jiving with me.
I think another thing that reason it didn't bother me was because Neo was the same way, where it's like,
okay.
Feudal era Japan was the era that Neo took place in, and there was still just a bunch of nonsense and stupid magic going on. That story was very much nonsensical, but just enough to give you context to run at what you're doing.
Like I say, it's not a deal breaker because the gameplay's pretty solid from the bits I've played, and the parry mechanic seems to be, at least decent enough to keep playing. But it is just very weird where, you go from a regular Souls game where you just get given things and you're not told what to do, like you're not told what to do at all, right? You just get the Estus flasks, or you get those things, and they're just like, yeah, these replenish your health in like either a menu text or something like that, or some, like I say, some old woman will just be like, "Have this," and then you just deal with it, right? Whereas this game genuinely has a guy with a blindfold on, like Kyle, with an American
Yeah.
accent that's just like, "Here, have these potions, man." Like it's like he just sounds like regular like My Hero Academia character. Like that's
Oh
what
my
it just like. It was just like, "Yeah, man, no problem. Have these." Like I'm just like, "Whoa, okay, thank you, white random guy." I don't get it, but that's the only thing that stood out to me as like off-putting from the game. The rest of it seemed pretty solid. The gameplay felt fun enough. It feels like, I say, the character doesn't feel like they have much weight to them, which is good and bad because you can literally zoom
Unless you're
around
trying
the
to
map.
jump on something that isn't actually interactable, in which he'll do a very, very low altitude front flip. It's super. It looks super goofy.
Yeah, there is that. But like for the most part, I do feel like it's very much kind of. It feels like, I say, if it like with Souls where it feels weighted, even with something faster like Bloodborne, you kind of still feel the movement. Like you feel like you're basically glued to the floor. Whereas this, you can jump at people, you can like you can do all these mad dashes. Like I said, like press the B button to dodge, and he fucking zooms out of the way, dude. Like he's dodging bombs.
Yeah.
He isn't dodging swords. Like he's getting out of the blast zone. It's kind of
The,
crazy.
The standard attack also doesn't like take away anything from your meter, so you're kind of encouraged to just go for the gas as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. And you also have this system, Kyle, where you basically have everybody has like this kind of, I can't remember what the meter was called, but it's like there's like
Spirit meter.
the
I
spirit
believe.
meter, where it's
Yeah.
basically like as you kill more people, you deal more damage basically. But if you are taking,
Okay. That meter's the morale meter. There's like a bunch of different stupid little
Oh, God.
systems that they throw at you.
What is
And
this, an MMO?
I struggled. I
basically.
struggled to get a grasp on what it was until I was like, I guess I should read these since I'm so I can articulate it properly, since I'm not actually going to be playing more of this until later.
Yeah, it's very much kind of. So you got like a morale system where it's like everybody's got like a level, and the more you kill, the more this builds up, and they deal damage. And then the person that, if you get killed by a person, they then level up their own meter and they'll deal more damage. And then so to get like so the next time you come up against them because they killed you, you've kind of got a rivalry between them, and
Oh
they'll just keep building up and up and up. And it's like, I feel like that stuff like that is very fun and unique, and I kind of like those little additions. But like I say, it's very much, for better or worse, and I think like this is why people don't like the Souls games as well, because it's got all your standard Souls things. You've got the flags, which are basically your bonfires. You've got small flags, haven't you, Hunter, where you can place those
the
down
small
around
flags
the map
that they
boost you up a bit.
Yeah, they boost your morale thing when you set them down, and also it raises the floor of where it can go. Like when you die, you lose so much of it, and
Yeah.
if you have all these flags, you'll be able to lose less of it.
Essentially, it's like conquering land in a way, where it's like, you build up, like as you're going through the map, the more areas that you've planted these flags down, the less you'll lose. And it's like, it's all interesting mechanics. I think the problem for me was, at least from the first hour, was there was nothing there that was screaming to me. Like, it's a very good game, and if you wanted to play it, I highly recommend it. Especially if you've got Game Pass, just chuck it. And if you haven't, go play the demo, see if you like it, see if you drive with it before you play it. But it's like nothing was screaming at me that I was like, I need to play this. I need to drop everything right now and play this video game. I don't feel that. And I don't know if that's because there isn't the peer pressure of the Elden Ring community on the internet going, it's the greatest game ever made, you better play it now or you're ruining your chance at life. And I'm like, okay, you've got me, Elden Ring fans, I better go and play it right this second. But it's like, everything that I played, I was like, it's very solid. I think it's very well made. I think the voice acting is pretty cringe. I have no idea what's happening in the story, because they do the classic kind of start of a Japanese kind of RPG start, and Yoshi P's fucking shivering in his fucking room right now when he hears that. He's gonna shake his fist at me with that whole controversy this week. But they just start spouting all of these lore to like they just start they start just spouting absolute fucking nonsense of like the magic of the blah de blah and the the blood and the tarnished and the blah de blah, and it's just like I don't need this right now. I just want a cool intro, and then why don't you have Timmy Fourlegs over there, then go and explain it to me later about what the hell's going on in the world. I feel like the worst thing you can do when you start one of these games is I think From does a really good job because they just show a cutscene and you're like, what the fuck's going on? Time to go and find out by reading a load of text in the bios. Let's go, gamers. Whereas this one's like, the world is this and here's that and this is how the magic works and all the blood and all this blah de blah shed, and then I'm like, oh, get on with it. Like
I feel like they were on the right
dude.
track.
Yeah.
When they they had that like cool little first person scene of your character before you made them tear up the yellow turban guys.
That was cool.
And then that was cool. And then they just kept talking.
And then they just kept talking and talking and they wouldn't shut up. And I'm like, no,
Skyrim, your character just wakes up on a cart, just a random jabroni. This guy is proven to be
but don't they do like the first person thing on Skyrim too?
Well, Skyrim, everything's the first person in Skyrim.
Yeah.
Could you make a character in Skyrim? I forget.
Yes.
Okay.
You can play in third person as well. You can turn the gameplay into third person.
Sorry, this is just a complete aside.
We found the one person that Todd Howard's been making these remakes of Skyrim for. He's like, I know there's one person that hasn't played it. We're just gonna keep releasing it.
I'm never gonna play it, Todd.
You'll see.
Release the 6th one already.
I wish, dude.
You're not gonna play that one either.
That's true, but at least the new people will have a thing to play.
The
Elden Ring community. To be fair, if there was a game that the Elden Ring community is looking forward to next, there isn't the next Elden Ring or FromSoft project. It probably is Elder Scrolls 6, but it's like other than those kind of tropes that a lot of Japanese games fall into, where they do a bit too much exposition at the start, a bit of Scarlet Nexus syndrome. I feel like the rest of it is pretty solid. That if you're looking for something like this, it's a pretty decent time, personally.
Yeah,
I feel like
and for all of its similarities to the other games there, it's got its own cool spins on it, like their little magic system they got, where pushing R2 and a face button will do the you can pull from like 5 different elementals. I think it was
you've got a load of magic stuff. That's cool.
For some reason wood is what it's called, but the actual powers associated with it is lightning based. I don't know why it's called wood. And then fire, earth, metal, which is poison. Why is it called metal?
Would be the lightning thing because it conducts it if you're going to do it. That logic, but
would earth be wood?
Yeah, well, it's weird. I also want to give massive props to them. There's one thing that I do want to give massive props to as well, because there's one thing that I don't like about FromSoft games is when you go to the level up screen and there's 6 million stats and you don't know what the fuck any of them are doing, because you like most of them you're like, okay, vitality's health, got that. Dex is I got stamina, I know what that is. I know what the magic one is. And then you look at all these other ones and you're like, okay, I see the numbers are getting bigger, but if you were to tell me what the difference is, and I'm not a FromSoft like nerd, I don't know. Whereas this one very much just has them very clearly in like 5 categories, and they tell you exactly what those categories level up when you level. I'm like, thank you, because sometimes we don't need just arbitrary difficulty for the sake of it in the menu. I don't need arbitrary difficulty in the menu trying to figure out what does what. Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, it also has a pause button. That's epic. I wish From would learn that.
I feel like the way that the different elements and affect your stats when you choose to like pool into them is neat too, because of the way that they affect certain things like earth. The earth one will make your ability to parry things easier. If you wanted to dump a lot into that, and then also dump a lot into like the water one, because that makes the amount of spirit drained when you do a parry and miss less, and also it will give you more spirit back when you succeed. Those like are very complementary to each other, or like fires in general, just the one that's better for attacking and all of that. I feel like the mixing and matching of how you can level your character up is pretty solid. I also like the pool of weapons they got available to you in this game. as far as like in the second level, there you eventually meet this blacksmith that just has one of each, a very starter variation of each category on hand that you can buy. You've got like 3 different versions of swords, as far as like just one, the one's like a saber, another one's like just called sword, and one's like a curved saber. And I'm like, I don't really
Big
know
sword,
what the
little sword,
I don't really
middle
know what the
sword,
difference here is. There was
pointy
dual
sword.
swords later, which was what I
Ooh,
started
yeah.
to play when I grabbed that, which was
Respect.
yeah, which was nice, especially good. And that's what I roll in the FromSoft things when I have the opportunity to anyway. But when I don't have to worry about my stamina, it's even better. I can just zip through things with my little attack and then break their guard with the triangle button, and it's all daisies. But yeah, they've got a bunch of other cool stuff as far as, aside from the magic that you can use on the face buttons. There's also, pushing a different one will give you like special moves with like R1 and square and or triangle, depending on if you have a weapon that has 2 of them. Well, they'll have like special moves that you can do as like a cool little physical attack, where like if you got a spear or something, he does like a little spin and then in the air and then stab you or something, as far as that's concerned. So it's got enough there to make it still feel unique from, Souls and even Neo, if you played those already, to where it will feel familiar, but still distinct enough.
Yeah, but no, I'd say definitely if you there's a demo out, so if you want to go and check it out, and you don't want to put your money where your mouth is, go and check it out on the demo. It's like I say, it's got substantial enough to give Hunter impressions, at least. So hey,
Yeah, and like I'm probably not gonna go out and buy it right away because I still have Octopath Traveler to play, and when I'm finished with that, Resident Evil 4 will probably be coming out. But I could foresee myself, if there's, if the actual game releases, take a vacation for the second half of the year, I could, see myself buying this and playing it by the end of the year.
and if you have an Xbox or PC and you use Game Pass, then you can go and download it and check it out there, like I did. Will I be going back to it? Probably not, but that's just because I need to be locked into a game for me to fully jive with the game nowadays. 2023 is the year of me dropping video games, it seems. But, it is what it is. I still think
He's
it's great.
The
and if you're into
scientist from
that-
Jimmy Neutron that couldn't finish his sentences.
Basically, you also it's true. So yeah, I hope my sentences pick up, because now I've got to talk about fucking Metroid Prime. Right, here we go. Buckle your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if one of you wants
What
to
compelled you to pick up Metroid Prime? Because by all accounts, this seems like a game you wouldn't really want. You wouldn't be interested in.
What part is it? Is it the part that I've got massive first-person shooter fatigue? Is it the fact that I really don't like early first-person shooters, like, for example, Halo, which I really don't like? Is it the fact that I'm not a huge fan of Metroidvanias that much? Is it
before
that I'm
Metroid
not...
Dread, you were like spiritually opposed to the whole structure that those games are centered around.
It's true. It's mainly because of Metroid Dread. It's because I really liked Metroid Dread, and I was like, you know what? I like Metroid Dread. It's a fun little 5-hour thing. And then I was like, you know what? People love Metroid Prime, and I kind of don't want to be that person that didn't at least try Metroid Prime before Prime 4 comes out, and I probably buy it because of the hype, and then still don't like it or whatever. It's like, I just want to at least try it. Also, because it was a shadow drop, it was hype, nothing's coming out of March, and it was a lower price point. If it was a classic Nintendo move of, here's thing you had before, now it's $10 more, give us $60, please, I would have been like, no, get in the bin. But the fact that it was like only like in the UK, I got this for like less than £30 or something like that. I got it for like £28, and I'm like, you know what?
Nice.
I'll get it. That's cool. It's physical. It's got the Japanese box art on the reverse side, which is also
that's
very
cool.
cool.
Ooh.
That art
I can't
is way
wait
better.
to not get that art when I get my copy
No,
too.
you do. The American copy does get the reverse art
Oh,
as well.
awesome.
Don't you worry about that.
Very cool.
But I was just like, I'm going to give it a chance, because you never know. There might be stuff that I really like about it. And here is the thing, is I do like quite a bit of it. I can see why people like it quite a bit. It's just it suffers from Nintendo GameCube syndrome. And what I mean by that is, in a lot of the time back then, and Wind Waker's the other bloody example of this, where they turn a 6-hour game into a 10-hour game, or they make a 20-hour game into a 30-hour game by adding some arbitrary bullshit at the end of it where you have to go on a fucking treasure hunt. And I'm sick of this shit. Where it's like, I feel like this is the problem, is I think Metroid Prime, I'll probably keep playing it. I'm probably going to play Psychonauts 2 first. But I'm probably going to go and pick this back up, and I'll at least play 2/3 of it. Because the bit that I did play, I was having a decent enough time. I played through the whole of the ruins. So I played about... And I'm in the magma area of the game, which is about 2 or 3 hours into it, is what I'd say. So it's like... And it doesn't really play like a Metroidvania. It is a lot more like it's like a first-person shooter meets a puzzle game, basically. Because you do the whole of the ruins. You backtrack later, but you do the whole of the ruins, then you move to the next area. The ruins gives you the ability to go to the magma area because you need the heat exhaust or whatever, and you go to the magma area, and I'm assuming that's how it carries on, basically. It doesn't really play like a Metroidvania where it's like, oh, you dum-dum, you've done a third of this, now you've got to go somewhere else and find another thing there, so you can do another third of that to go to a completely different area. They give you something to go and complete the second third of the other area, so you can go back and do the third of that area to go back. And it's like, that's the shit I hate, is where it's just like... Okay, I've got this arbitrary thing. Where the fuck am I supposed to go now? I kind of know that you beat each section and stuff like that. That stuff I'm completely fine with. And in terms of it, it holds up really well. It's not a Halo 1. It is not... It feels decent. It's got a lock on aim. It really helps because Retro's done a really good job. If we take out the game itself, in terms of a remaster, this is like the pinnacle of remasters of how to do it. Retro have nailed it. It does not feel like a game from the GameCube era at all, and it doesn't look like it either. It has modern controls to it. It has the dual stick aiming and shooting now. It plays like a modern shooter. And it looks like a Switch shooter. It genuinely does. It looks like one of the best games on Switch. And it's not just a GameCube upscaler where they've just upscaled it to 1080p and job done. They've redone entire textures, entire models. They've basically made a remake here. It's just using the same code. It's really impressive, the stuff that they're doing. And for the price point, when you look at some other things and you look at Nintendo Wii U games that came to Switch and just got a boost to 1080p and they slapped an extra $10 on it, you're like, you know what? There's some actual quality here and it's cheaper. It's a win-win if you're a fan of the game.
Nice.
I think the main problem with it comes with, again, a lot of old Nintendo games from that era don't value your time very well. They don't they don't think that a shorter game equals a good value opportunity back then. Where it's like, this game, I already know, was probably a 6 to 8 hour game that they amped up to 12 because they realized that people wouldn't want to pay for a 6 to 8 hour game. Because there's this thing in it called Chozo Artifacts, which I don't know if you've heard about this. This is basically the Triforce quest for Metroid Prime, where you have to go back through every section to look for random bollocks so that you can fix it. Then that's, as soon as I found out that these were the random shit and you couldn't pick them up on your first pass through each area, that you're going to have to do a big sweep at the end to find them, that automatically killed my motivation to even play through the areas the first time round, because I know I'm coming back. And it's like, that's the stuff that I don't like about this genre, is just like arbitrary backtracking. If it's fair enough, if it's a whole section of the map that I've not seen before that I need to do. But it's like, I've looked at the hints for the Chozo artifacts and I'm like, okay, I've already been to the rooms, some of them, that I need to find these artifacts in, and I can't get to them because I don't have the abilities yet, and they're not going to let me back here until I've finished everything anyway. And I'm just like, this is why people don't like the end of Wind Waker. And I'm like, I feel like it's better in this because at least, like I say, it's an 8-hour game that gets amped up to like 12 because you have to go around and collect everything again. I feel like it's more justified in this game because it's less of an effort than it is in the Triforce quest. But it still doesn't justify it being bullshit. And I'm like, I really hope Metroid Prime 4 doesn't pull some shit like this, because it's really kind of off-putting. It just really does it really does make me feel like, oh great, I've got to go around this whole... I already spent 3 hours in this ruins, and now you got to tell me I've got to go and spend another hour at least, even if I know where all of them are, even if I Google where all of them are, and it only takes me 2 hours. That's still 2 hours of my life going to collect random bullshit that I don't necessarily need to. I'm not feeling like I'm achieving anything. It does nothing, man. Because up until that point, I was having a blast. I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, you get your upgrades again pretty quickly. I was expecting them to really drag it out, but it's like I got my rockets back. I got my bull back. I got the bomb, the little the bombs that you drop off when you're in the ball form. I got all that back pretty quickly, and I'm like, okay, all of that in the first area, and I'm like, this is good. The pace seems to be pretty great. I don't understand why people like it, and I think that if you're a fan of Metroid and you're a fan of, you don't mind backtracking a bit, and you don't have the attention span of a fly like I do, because for some reason I just cannot play video games unless they end when I want them to. It's like, I feel like I can understand why people love it, and there are parts of it that I love. When I will probably finish it, hopefully, if the artifacts don't get the best of me. It reminds me why I don't play a lot of those kind of era games, because a lot of them don't respect your time, and it's like, man, if this was 6 hours, if this was Metroid Dread length, I would have had a blast. Like, I would be over halfway through now. I'd be booting it up right now to go and play it and fuck this podcast right off, right? But I'm not. Because I know that there's at least another 8 to 10 hours left, and at least 2 or 3 of those are going to be backtracking to collect random bullshit arbitrary things to get to the final level. And I'm like, it's just I just don't get it. I don't get it. But it's great regardless. It's just it's my curse of Metroidvanias. It's my curse. I can't do it.
I think, one thing that would, I feel, moderately alleviate the need to go back or whatever is, because of all the modern touches there, like Dread had the thing where it would mark certain stuff for you on the map. If it, did that for you if you run into them while you're,
100%.
looking around,
and I also think
that would be nice, because then you'd know where to go when you have to do this at the end of the game.
Like I say, it is just it's a thing where it's like, okay, they're very much doing the Wind Waker approach. That's the thing, is if it was just at the end they were like, you've got to go and collect the 11 things. Here are all of them on the map. Off you go. Have a field day. We spiced it up a bit. It's literally like they give you riddles. They're like, riddle me this, Batman. Here's something you can't fucking get for another 10 hours. Fuck you, dickhead. That's basically the riddle. That is like, it's like, it's literally like, go to the sun.
Riddle.
It's like go to the sun tower. Not now. 8 hours time, prick. Like, it's like, oh, why give me the riddles if the riddle isn't like, literally the riddle is basically, they might as well just say, play for 8 hours, then go to IGN.com. That's what they should say, because that's what everyone in 2004 did. And it's like, what am I gonna like? It's like, I'm sure for an 8-year-old who gets 2 games a year or whatever, 3 games a year, that shit's great, It's like, oh, I've got to figure this out. Where could it possibly be? But I'm not that. I'm 25 years old. God, I'm 25 years old. That makes me sad. But it's like, I don't want to sit around, and I'm just going to Google it. And in my opinion, if you're Googling something for the sake of getting through a video game, that's not good design. And I feel like it would have been a really nice option, even in the menus, to just say, tell me where the fucking artifacts are. It's like, even in the option, just like a hint thing. Do you want baby bitch mode where I tell you where the artifacts are when you need to go and get them? Yes, please. That'd be fantastic. Okay, you got it, bud. Because the riddles aren't hard, but it's just annoying when you know the answer to a riddle, and it's just like, it's not the fact that I couldn't solve the riddle that I didn't get it.
That you can't get the reward.
I can't get the reward because the game hasn't basically said, no, fucker, you need to figure this out in 8 hours time and then come back. And it's like, don't give me the riddle if I can't solve it now. Like, that's just silly. Like,
that is silly.
Yeah.
But again, it's just like old game design. I'm just fucking nitpicking for nitpicking's sake, and I know a load of Metroid fans will come and find my head and put it on a pillar and go, we love Metroid, can't wait for Metroid Prime 4. And I'm also probably going to play Metroid Prime 4, but it's like, man, that GameCube era and Nintendo was different, dude. Like, they were all into this, dude. I feel like Sunshine had a lot of this, where it was like, oof, did we really need that many shines and going to these levels that many times? And the same with, Wind Waker with its stupid Triforce quest that they had to nerf on Wii U, and like
even with Thousand Year Door when I played that last year, I think that game's fantastic. But every chapter in that game,
a lot of backtracking.
Yeah, every chapter in that game has some instance of just miserable backtracking. Chapter 4, Chapter 7 are the 2 worst offenders, where you're going from one place way the fuck back to the starting area, and then way the fuck back to the where you're supposed to be.
I feel like that was the era of the PS2 and Nintendo GameCube in a nutshell, though. I mean, you look at stuff like Persona 3 as well, and you look at how minuscule the XP is on that game, and it's like,
Some
it's already a
psycho
60.
likes
It's already
having to run
already
back
like a
and get
50.
the sniper rifle in Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. If you play through the entirety of Persona 3 and you never had to grind, it would be like a 50-hour game, or a big game still, but not as substantial. They were just like, oh, you know what? If we make them fucking grind, we can turn this into a 70-hour game. And it's like, I'm not getting anything out of those 20 hours. And every game seems to do this, where it's like, I don't need that. And I feel like, especially nowadays, you see these remasters of old RPGs, they've got a fast forward button. Even new RPGs like Octopath have a fast forward button because they realize that people value their time more than the game time that they have in a video game. Like,
I never turned the fast forward off in Octopath 2.
Yeah, hell yeah. And I respect that, because it's like, why the fuck should you sit through all of that? It's very, like, you don't have to if you don't want to. And I feel like this is the same way, where it's like, I see back in the day, it was a different time period, and a lot of people were like, you know what? I can't spend full price. I can't spend this amount of money on a 6-hour game because it's not really worth it. Whereas now I feel like everybody's sick of seeing, like, always online MMORPGs, kind of, all of these looter shooters, these games as a service.
Bloat in games never really went away. It's
Assassin's Creed games that are 90 hours long.
It still exists.
Like,
It just kind of is different, where things are just arbitrarily spread out for no reason or something like that, instead of just Scarlet Nexus, where they ask you to play the game that's already too long twice.
And now you're like, you know what? I respect it if it's 6 hours long. I loved Metroid Dread for the fact that it was 5 hours, and I was done with it in like a day. And I was like, that's great. I had a blast. If Metroid Dread was 15 hours long, I probably would have stopped playing and hated it, because I was just like, there's a point where you're just like, I've had enough of this. I think short and sweet games are great. And it's like the fact that it's like, 10 to 12 hours long, and some of that's literally go and find it. It's like 13 and a half hours Metroid Prime is, apparently. And to know that like at least 2 hours of that is probably just going around collecting bullshit artifacts, I'm like, I don't want to. The rest of it's great, though. The rest of it feels like a GameCube game, but in a good way. It's fun. It's a fun way. It's very simple, but it's also very fun. It also has a scanning function that's a bit bullshit. I feel like it's got like, you press left on the D-pad and you have to scan everything, and it's like, to get an elevator to work you have to scan it first, and then it's like elevator
This is
activated.
an elevator.
And I'm like, yeah, it's like elevator activated. I'm like, okay, it's a GameCube game. Those kind of things you got to look past, because you're like, okay.
Oh, but Ethan, world building, am I right?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's great if it's optional. Don't make me scan it for the fucking, like, I don't need to know what a lift is to know the lift works. Thank you. Appreciate it.
The hit to the head that Samus takes at the beginning of the game made her forget how to work elevators.
Oh, that's like the dumbest thing ever, by the way.
It's been
she gets hit by like a joke forever. It's like, yeah, you lost everything. Get wrecked. And I'm like, oh.
It doesn't make sense either, because like she's one of the strongest people in the world, and then just tripping over something makes her armor go. At least in Dread, she got beat up by the main villain and woke up and was like, "Oh, ow."
Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly look. I'm very interested. Is it like Great 10? Was there anything where you had to? Doesn't look like it. They carried this on in Metroid Prime 2 and 3, but they also get longer, so I feel like I'd like those ones even less. But I don't know. I feel like 2D versus 3D Metroid is always an argument that I see a lot of people have, where you've got a lot of passionate people on both sides, where a lot of people love the Prime series a lot, and a lot of other people prefer 2D Metroid. So when Dread came out, those 2D Metroid people were finally like, yes, finally! Good lord, we get something new. That's awesome. And I feel like so...
I was gonna say, it's almost like the 3D Metroid and the 2D Metroid kind of just exist like separately from each other, because I mean, Dread follows off of the end of Metroid Fusion.
Yeah,
and I mean, the Prime series is set before all of the 2D games bar 1, right? So it's like, I think it's set between Metroid 1 and 2. So it's like,
yeah, something like that.
There's a lot of separation.
The only intermingling between the two of those kind of paths of the
Over M.
other M followed on from some
Oh
of
no.
from some of the notions from Super Metroid, if I'm understanding what happens in that game correctly. I haven't played it, so I don't know for sure, but if what I've gleaned is to be believed, it follows on from things that happen in Super Metroid.
But no, it's a good game. I don't know if I'll fully finish it because I don't know if it'll hold my attention. I definitely feel like from this experience that I like both, but I'm more of a 2D person in terms of Metroid. From the little bit that I've played than a 3D Metroid kind of guy. It also just is. It's also cool just playing this game and going, that's where Returnal got all of its inspiration from. Because I'm just looking at it and it's like all the way the doors open, the way the rooms work, the way everything is, the HUD and all that. I'm like, that's where Returnal got its got its inspiration from, was Metroid. I'm like, that's pretty cool to see all that kind of stuff. And also to go and look at a game that is that old, that is like coming up on 20 years old. It might even be more, right? How old's Metroid Prime?
I think it came out in 2002.
Metroid Prime was 2002, so it's over 20 years old now. So it's like, to look at a game that's 20 years old.
Metroid Fusion, also 2002, same day.
Yeah. So it's
Really?
like,
yeah.
Really? Damn, that's crazy.
Damn. Appeal to both crowds.
To look at a game that's came out 20 years ago, and then to look at a game that came out 19 years later, and not only to see that the inspiration that game still continues to have, but also that there isn't that big of a jump, and that's more of a testament to how good Metroid Prime has aged. It's aged really well. It's not Halo 1. It doesn't play like doo-doo. It does play well. If you are into that kind of game, you'll like it quite a bit. But to see its inspiration, to see what was an inspiration to many people, it's kind of cool, and I do like it. It's just like I say, it's just a lot of going through rooms, shooting, solving puzzles. I like a lot of it, but also I hate to say it because Hunter's said this before, where it's like, you can watch a YouTube video. It's one of those kind of games where it's like I could very easily, in fact, I probably enjoy it more if I had something on the side that I was also experiencing, because these kinds of games with Metroid, silent protagonist and all that, there isn't much story going on. It's very much just walking through an area and exploring and shooting a lot, and it's like, I like it, I jive with it, the music's cool, but also as someone who has goopy gamer goblin brain who needs to, stay entertained, and I need all the, I'm the person that all these new TikToks where they've got the person talking, they've got the Subway Surfers, and they've got the high attention. Have you seen these? There's TikToks where now people are so I don't want to say stupid, but their attention span
videos into the videos.
Yeah, so there's 3 videos in one where it's you'll have the actual video.
Isn't the whole point of this platform that they're only the videos are only 7 seconds
yeah,
long?
But you got to keep the attention span.
How is there room for this?
No, these are minutes, dude.
Yeah, so it's
everything.
It's 2 minutes. So they have the video of the person, then they have some Subway Surfers gameplay or some some magic sand or whatever to keep people engaged. And I'm yeah, and I'm like, this is stupid. But then I also notice when I have seen these ones that I am watching the Subway Surfers gameplay and not the person. I'm like, oh my god, am I the people that they're doing this for? I'm like, what the hell's happening? Am I the stupid one? But I do feel like it's kind of it isn't just exploration.
Me. I'm these people.
I'm the idiot. I'm the idiot, dude. And it's I feel like that's my main problem with it is I'm just I can't do this solely just explore this world, because I was already getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this. I might put this down for a day or whatever, for a day or so. I just I feel like this is a YouTube and chill. Listen to some podcasts. Hey, the HGO podcast, great companion piece to Metroid Prime. Just have me screaming about the stupid doors while you're playing
on the
it.
box.
Yeah, put that on the box.
Not of Metroid. Put it on the box of the podcast. Great companion piece to Metroid Prime.
New headcanon that Samus is just exploring the planet, listening to a podcast the entire time.
Oh, that'd be funny.
And it's just like I said, there's some really cool stuff, and then you just look at stuff and you're like, oh, that's cool for the remaster. And you're like, no, that was in the 2002 game. When you when you have an explosion that's close to you and you see the reflection of Samus in the helmet, and you're like, that
Oh
was in the
yeah,
2002 version. Like,
yeah.
that's sick. That's so
Wow.
cool.
That is sick.
It also
Like,
it's like a mini jump scare. It scared the shit out of me when I first saw it.
Yeah,
But, you know,
yeah,
other
yeah.
than
'cause
that,
See, having this game drop a couple weeks back and seeing all these people point out all these things that were in the original, I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. I hate that I've never played this game.
it's like I say, it's great. I'm sure you're gonna have a great time. But for me, I feel
Yeah.
like it's not stimulating enough for me. And I feel like this is 100% my fault because one of the games that I've been playing a lot this year, platformers and Yakuza. So it's like the last game I played had a guy
goofiest
jumping out of a
goblin game you're
manhole and
playing.
chasing me like for the past. Like it's like, you know, it's like I don't think I'm in the right headspace for a somber jaunt around an alien planet. It's like, no, not really in the headspace for it. There's some cool stuff though. I like it quite a bit. It's good. It's me. I'm the problem. I'm always the problem. Put that on the box. 5-star review. Game's great. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. This is why I don't review games. This is why I get these two to do it. Because apparently I'm just not it's not for me, guys. It's 2 stars. I'm gonna swap these around, Hunter. You can talk about Signalis because I have talked for far too long.
Alrighty. Oh,
no
man.
pressure.
Signalis is one of the coolest horror games I've played in a while. If we're discounting things that aren't already remakes of stuff I liked the first time, this is my favorite horror game that I've played since Lone Survivor, which was like,
Ooh.
I played that 9 years ago. This game is so cool, man. Like, oh, the general idea is, as far as I'm gonna say a bunch of words that aren't gonna sound very special because a lot of horror games do this to less effective degrees, but if effectively the gameplay is take the management inventory notions of Resident Evil, and then the general tone and what you're seeing is more in line with like Silent Hill. Very probably the best kind of game I've ever seen blend the two together that way, as far as that's concerned, because it takes the inventory management of old Resident Evil and then puts even more restrictions on you. And
Ew.
it makes it better in some ways. Like,
Oh, damn.
Okay, you
'Cause-
psychopath.
You are.
I'm
Free.
just
You
not
are
a
free.
coward.
Yeah, that's one word for it.
Because like, okay, in like old Resident Evil, you know, you could you had so many inventory slots where you know
Yes.
you had like 6, and you know you'd have your gun and some ammo, and the ammo would stack, and eventually if you could pick up as much ammo as you had
Yeah,
available for
but then the ammo
stacks,
would
and
stop
then,
stacking.
yeah, and it would start taking up a new slot.
Start a new stack.
This
Yeah.
game doesn't let the ammo start at a new stack. You just can't pick up. It caps your ammo, which helps. Which, you know, will
No.
it will agitate. It agitated my kleptomaniac brain for a minute, but it made me reevaluate how I was playing the game too. Like It's been a long time since I've played a game like this that's made me actually change what I'm doing.
Huh.
Because like the ammo basically what it ended up being was I had to just be smarter about what I was carrying rather than being prepared to, you know, just have general healing items and a box of ammo with you.
Yeah.
You know, eventually I fell back on just taking the ammo that was already in my loaded gun, and then whatever I was picking up along the way would be what I did. And eventually I just stopped bringing healing items with me, and when I would find the safe room, I would, you know, get whatever I needed to heal out of the box and all of that. Yeah. Oh man, another really cool thing this game does in old games, like the older Resident Evils and retro things like Lone Survivor and all that. One of the most common exploits was, you know, you run through the room, you aggro the things, but when you leave the room and come back, the enemy positions are reset. This game doesn't do that. If you run through the door after aggroing a thing and go right back through the door, the enemy will be waiting for you, and that was really cool. Oh, it was real neat. I wasn't expecting it. I'm like, oh, it's been so long that's been like a thing that people like me will do for games like this. And it took till now for someone to actually be like, haha, gotcha. But yeah. So as far as like the setting and stuff, it's like this dystopian sci-fi horror game. Takes place in the far-flung future. What's the box?
Always consulting the box.
Yeah.
Oh god, he's got a box.
Yeah, I've got a box. That's the only reason I waited this long to play the game is because I missed it, and then like, oh, physical version. I'm like, yes, please, because this looks cool.
I would never do such a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm just an idiot and just buy it again.
But yeah, yeah, but basically it takes place in like this retro future kind of world where it takes place far enough in the future for androids and stuff to be a thing because you're playing as like this robot girl, and but also like all of the computer monitors and stuff are like CRTs. So it's got this cool little panache to it as far as that goes. There's very Lovecraftian kind of themes to it with just the general notion. It even, oh man, the first 15 minutes of this game were so good. Like, it's a very slow burn, but then like the last 3, I'm like, well, that's the death nail for Atomic Heart. I'm not going back to this. I'm not going back to that. This is too cool. Oh, so it was just really neat. But yeah, the general setup was like this robot unit, Elster. Her ship crash lands. She wakes up from this cryostasis kind of thing, and you don't really know what's going on. You explore the ship that crashed. Your partner seemed to be missing, and then you just kind of meander on into this well and pick up you pick up like a book, and then the cool little intro sequence happens, and then it just cuts to this other area and like this mine facility, and you're like, and then it's like, oh man, sorry. For as much as I've been thinking about this game for the past week, putting into words the things I want to say about it is rather difficult.
Nah, I get it. We've all had that happen before.
Yeah. But yeah, after you leave the ship, you get sent somewhere else, and she's basically like trying to find the crewmate that was missing from her sleeping pod when you woke up initially. So you're just walking around this facility being like, hey, have you seen this lady? Showing them the picture, and they'll be like, oh no, but this place is in ruins, turn back before it's too late. Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. There you go. Big up Signalis, because if Hunter likes it, it must be good.
Oh man,
Because he plays all that horror shite, so you don't have to. But this one's good.
It's funny because, like, actually, as far as like indie horror games that get traction, for me, it's always a coin flip on whether or not I'm gonna like or care about them. Like,
Well, tell me you don't like Five Nights at Freddy's, Hunter. That's
yeah, like Amnesia, for example, I at least respected, and then like nonsense like Five Nights at Freddy's or like Poppy Playtime or all the things that are trying to be like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Just jump scare central. Hello Neighbor.
Yeah, Hello Neighbor, that game that appealed. Yeah. The ones that are just like, oh, YouTubers, please make videos about us without actually trying to make a good game. That's so that's why it's always a coin flip, because then sometimes it'll be like one of the best things I've played in a long time. I really liked this game.
Hell yeah. So there you go. Go and check Signallis out if you haven't. If you like horror games, because I love horror games, so I'll definitely be picking that up.
Kyle, you like horror games now. Give this one a try.
I like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
This game's like Resident Evil. Give it a try.
Yeah, but it also has an inventory system for maniacs.
I hate inventory systems, dude. That sounds cringe.
So true. I want all my bullets to stack, Hunter.
I can't wait.
As they should.
Listen, you won't need them to stack. That's the thing. It's like,
listen, you underestimate how I played Resident Evil.
Can you believe the Resident Evil 4 is like less than a month away now? That's crazy.
Oh, I know. I can't wait.
That's crazy.
God, I'm so excited.
Are you?
Big Resident Evil 4 fan, excited to play it for the first time. That's me.
Yo,
That's me.
you're like a Persona
See,
5 fan, dude. You haven't
you're
played
gonna-
Or
it.
an
Is that-
you-
Earthbound fan.
You're
Yeah.
gonna
yeah.
you're gonna need all the bullets that game's dropping to stack, but
I'll be fine. Leon's got a knife, I think.
yeah,
I'll be fine. A knife can fight a chainsaw, dude.
it breaks after you block it though.
Well, I'll find
Oopsie
another
doopsie.
one.
That's the spirit. Let's wrap it
Or I'll
up.
take the chainsaw.
Why not, dude? Why not? Let's wrap it up by talking about Psychonauts. So I said last week that I should really probably get on Psychonauts because of the new documentary coming out. And so I decided that I would be a man of my word. And I played the entirety of Psychonauts 1. I have done it. I also started the documentary. I found out just before we started recording that I accidentally skipped an episode, and now I'm mad at myself because I did 1, 2,
Spoilers.
3, 4, 5, and I went to 7 in my next session. I was like, I swear I've missed something here, and carried on regardless, and I did, and now I've got to go back and like a dumbass and go watch it. And then I got to episode 7, and the game was like, the documentary was like, spoilers for Psychonauts 2, and I'm like, you bastards! Now I've got to go fucking play this one as well. So I'm working through them, and I realized, I always joke, people are always like, that's shills for Todd Howard, people are always like, I will die for Todd Howard. He's done nothing wrong. Fallout 76 was just a misunderstanding, guys. We've all been there.
I would literally die for Supergiant.
Yeah,
I
and I think
understand
I've
you.
realized. Yeah, and I think that I've realized that I'm a bit like that with Tim Schafer, where I'm like every time it's like Psychonauts is not a perfect video game. It really isn't, and I'm sure some people hear the way that people always talk about how good of a writer Tim Schafer is, and they go, he's overrated. He's not that good. You're all fucking shills, and I'm like, yeah, I am a shill. Sign me up for the shilling, please, because I absolutely adore even if I don't really enjoy the genre. I'm not a huge point and click guy. I'm not a huge adventure game fan, but I really love Grim Fandango, and I really liked Broken Age, and I like Day of the Tentacle. I haven't played Full Throttle. That's the only one I haven't played, but it's like the ones that I have played I've really enjoyed. And now with Psychonauts, where it's a platformer that hasn't aged particularly great, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, even when I'm not jiving with the game, the writing's so damn fucking good that I'm like, oh, I can see why people love Psychonauts. I can see why it's a cult classic, because it's so damn good, man. Like, it's just like, it's just so good, where I'm just like, oh, it is genuinely like, just like the idea of itself of being like, I remember I watched the first episode of the documentary before playing this, and it's like the whole idea came from for Psychonauts was what's the color of the sky in your world, being like in your mental space, like what's the color of your sky, because everyone's mental space is different. I'm like, that's such a cool idea to basically just have each level being going into somebody's mind and seeing what reality is. But other things have done it before. Other games that I also like have done stuff like this before. It's like looking into your world and seeing how you see the world, and it's just like stuff like that where it's like the first level is literally a your mental battlefield, but it literally is like the tutorial level is someone's world is just an absolute war torn, like it's like World War II. The front is on, and it's like the Coach Oleander, is basically training the students by sending them to war, and he's like, you will finish this course or you'll die trying, and you're like running through like, honestly, there's like one of my favorite moments is like, you've got you're just sitting there, and it's at the start, and he's like, who's gonna break down the door and start this, and you do it, and you're like, okay, you'll do it, and it's just you and another student, and you're just sitting there, and it's like you just sitting there just chilling. The guy's like, I don't want to. He's like, I don't want to take part, and he just explodes, and he's like, well, that's that, man. It's just like stuff like that, and Raz just nonchalantly like, yeah, I guess that's it. It's just like stuff like that is so funny. Or there's a line in Psychonauts 2 where it's like, it's like, we can't die here. You know what happens if we die in the mental world? You think it's going to be something like, if you die in the mental world, you die in real life. And it's like, no, you pee your pants. So in the world of Psychonauts, if you die in the mental world, you just wake up and you've just soiled yourself. That's basically it. And it's just like, it's very juvenile, but it's like, it's absolutely hilarious. And it's just like, the writing and just everything about it is just so damn good. And it's like, I'm sure if you've not played Psychonauts, you've heard stuff like you've probably heard someone talk about the Milkman conspiracy at some point in your life. Where like there's this big level that everyone knows about called the Milkman conspiracy, and I'm like, it can't be that funny. And it's just like it is. It's basically what happens if you go into somebody's mind and they are the kind of bunker, kind of what if the CIA is watching everything, conspiracy theorist, and you go into their
Cake
world
is a
and it's
lie.
like, who is the milkman? Because it's like Raz is trying to get into this asylum and he's like, who has the key to the door? And the guy's like, the milkman has the key to the door. And he's like, who's the milkman? So you have to go into his head, and it's like this whole twisty turvy like world of like everything's like, and the CIA are watching you and everything, and there's cameras everywhere, and it's like it's just you just try to figure out who the fuck the milkman is, and it's like this whole conspiracy, and you did like you're grabbing things from the environment to blend in with people, so it's like to get past the highway safety people, you've got to grab one of their stop signs so you can walk through, and they're like, hello highway safety agent, and you just got to kind of blend through, and it's just like it's so clever how it's done, and then you're like, oh, it's just everything about it. There are bits that suck, and there are like some really old platforming bits. I played the original Xbox version, so I didn't get the PC version, which fixes the final level, because the last level is infamously known for being a load of bullshit. And even as someone who's very experienced in platformers, I did struggle a bit. So I can guarantee that if you're on like average at platformers, you're gonna have a hell of a time with that level, because as someone, I consider myself pretty good at platformers from speedrunning. I even struggled with it. There's some real bullshit in it, and it is fucking garbage. But even stuff without that, it's so funny, and it's really well done, and it's just like going into these worlds and just seeing stuff like, what's a conspiracy theorist's world kind of like? What is someone, like you say, you got a mental hellscape? What is you go into the world of a failed actor, and their world is like a stage, and they have like this emotional light where if you change the light, it goes from like a really positive scene to like a really negative scene with a load of enemies around it, and you've got to swap the emotions of the scene to get to the right cause of it. And it's just like there's stuff like that. It's like it's really clever, and it holds up for the most part pretty well. Combat's ass, but also combat in 90% of platforms is ass, so it's in the it's just something that a lot of platformers just don't do well. But it's really good, and I'd recommend you, if you haven't played Psychonauts and you're into 3D platformers, it's pretty great for the most part. It has its quirks. It's also not a collectathon, so if you're not into collectathons, you don't have to worry about collecting anything really. You just need to level up enough to get to like level 30, I think, which doesn't take much. But yeah, it's really good. And it's just playing Psychonauts 2 is also pretty great as well. I'm shocked that the game's good after it getting reviewed so well, because that's all I remember about Psychonauts 2 was it got reviewed really well when it came out a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh damn, that's great, I should pick that up at some point, and then I never picked it up.
Yeah, and Psychonauts has always been one of those ones that I've wanted to play, but just never pulled the trigger on. So,
dude, it's very good. It's like, it's particularly strong. It's like, I can see why people are like, it seems like, a lot of old adventure game fans will always go to Grim Fandango in terms of Tim Schafer's games. They'll always big up how good Grim Fandango is. And then it seems for Double Fine, it's always been Psychonauts. And I'm like, okay, let's play Psych. And you're like, okay, yeah. It is there's something really special here, and I can see why it was such a cult hit for so long. And I'm glad that it got a sequel. And from what I've played of the sequel so far, it's also very good. In different ways. I think that they've learnt a lot. It's more of a platformer, because the original Psychonauts has a lot of the point and click DNA still in it, where you have an inventory system and you have items, and if you talk to people with the items, you get different dialogue and stuff. Yeah. So you
I wasn't gonna say anything, Hunter.
So you can just go around, and it's like, apparently they spent a lot of time where it's like you can go to any character at any point with any stupid item, and they have a conversation about these items.
I love doing that.
Yeah.
Showing the badge to everyone in Ace Attorney is like my favorite thing.
Yeah, where it's like you can just go up to people, like you'll have a button or whatever, and you can just go up to everyone with this button. You're like, do you know what this button does? It's like, no. It's like, okay, cool. And they've done that with every character, and you're like, oh my god. And it has its absurdity, and it is very stupid and silly, but it's very good, and I can see why people like it. Just the last level's a bit of shit. But other than that, I didn't think it was that bad. But also, I pray for the 8-year-old that had to play that in 2005 because fucking hell, they would probably hate that game now. But
Either that or they got like stupid good at it.
oh, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they've
well,
just learned.
8-year-olds don't have anything else to do.
true. And also, it's got to be a cult classic for some reason. So some 8-year-olds played it and loved it, and now it's back and bigger than ever with Psychonauts 2. But Psychonauts 2 does feel more like a not generic platformer, but a lot of those kind of point and clicky aspects are kind of gone. The puzzle solving's kind of lesser in Psychonauts 2 so far. It's been more of a regular platformer, which is not bad, but yeah, I feel like it does lose a tiny bit of charm when you can't go around with some weird fucking piece of bacon that you found and like point it and shove it in people's faces and go, "What do you think about the bacon, eh? What do you think about that?" But hey, so there you go. That's my opinions on Psychonauts. It's good. I will probably finish Psychonauts 2 by next week because that's the way I'm going with those games.
Yeah.
And then I'll continue to watch the documentary, which updates on the documentary. It's very good from what I've from what I've watched so far for the first 8 episodes. Apart from episode 6, that might be shit, but the first 8 episodes, not
You
including
still
6.
haven't gone back?
No, because I only figured out literally before we started.
Oh my god.
But dude, episode 7 is genuinely really good. Honestly, watch Double Fine Adventure and watch this. It's great. I genuinely was someone was moving away from the team, and they were in the Broken Age documentary as well, and they're one of my favorite people from that. So when you get to that episode, I was like, I'm about to cry over a fucking team that I don't work with for a video game that I haven't played yet, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so good. It's genuinely, I'm just a Double Fine shill. That's why I bought an Xbox, guys. That's why I bought an Xbox. And I can't believe Phil Spencer took them away from me. It's so sad. But we'll live. It's all good. Anyway, we got anything else, or is that it? Are we done?
I don't know. You want to write a list of demands to the new Square Enix president?
Do not say NFTs are cool. Please do not carry on with your metaverse bullshit. Please
Ritually sacrifice Sora.
Just
It'd be
try
funny.
and spend 5 minutes without getting acquired by someone, for the love of God, because I swear, if we have to start those
The
conversations
funniest
again,
part is that it feels very much like they're trying to move in the direction of somebody come by us, and
100%.
the major players are on pause because of the stupid nonsense that's going on.
One day it'll end. It just keeps flip flopping. Where I'm like, maybe it'll end soon. A couple of weeks ago it was like, maybe the Xbox, maybe it won't go through, maybe the end will be over.
Imagine if
And then
Square
now this
got-
week I'm like, oh, now Sony's got to show documents about what they've been doing behind the scenes. Maybe the Xbox will just happen. Either way, just fucking put us out on misery. Just say yes or no and get it over with. I don't care.
Yeah, honestly though.
At the end of the day, it's Activision. It's Call of Duty, and Crash has got Wumpa League, so maybe they can cancel that before it's too late. That's about it. Come on, save me a bullet.
Yeah.
Come on.
It'd be funny if THQ Nordic bought Square, because then all the studios that they shed last year would just be under the same umbrella anyway.
I do not want them to acquire anyone else. They acquire too much. It's crazy the amount of stuff that THQ Nordic just picks up randomly.
It is
on a
crazy,
random
but it's
Thursday.
also funny because for as much as it is, it's also barely consequential.
What else was there? And the final thing I wanted to say was fuck you, Telltale, for not releasing Wolf Among Us. By the way, really bitter about that one. That genuinely was one of my most anticipated games of this year, and the fact that they are very early on gone nope. I'm like, oh, couldn't even give me hope for a little bit, could have kept me waiting.
Big oof.
What can you do, man? What can you do? It's just not my year. It's not my year.
No.
It's funny though. I was looking at the draft the other day, and for half a second, I thought about counterpicking Wolf Among Us too. I don't know why. It just felt like the thing to do in the moment. I didn't,
Yeah,
but it was there, and if I got it,
you didn't.
man, I'd be popping off.
You're a silly boy, because now you can't. Because it will.
That's
not
all right. I
release.
still have Wumpa League.
You still have Wumpa League. I'm just like I say. I'm just not having a good year at the moment. I'm just picking up what I can. It's gonna be rough. We'll see. But also, Kyle only has Jedi Survivor and 16 left Hunter. After that, it's like we can
After
just
that, I'm
swoop
gonna
up
need some
everything
games to
else.
come out.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
fuck off, dude. Fuck off. We've got the rest of them. You can get out
Yeah.
of that. Ethan
I'm
already
kind of
did his little. Ethan already did his little sweep of picking up the drags the other week, where I was like, "Fucking hell, Diablo, Pikmin, just anything. I'll take anything at this
Lies
point."
of P, which will either be a good one or it'll do like Atomic Heart numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's one of
I
those.
have faith. I watched that trailer. And I was like, you know what? At least a 70. Like I need points at
least
this
a
point. Hunter.
70.
I need points at this point, mate. I need anything.
Wo
I've
Long
had
brought
2
me on
games
the
come out.
board.
Yeah.
So tell me, Ethan, are you feeling a little regret letting Hunter pick first for Tears of the Kingdom?
No,
Okay.
because I wouldn't have picked Tears of the Kingdom anyway. Just because I know that Hunter's had that on his fucking Fantasy Critic for like the past 2 years running, so I was like, I'm not gonna stop him. I feels like a dickhead move.
See, that's where the difference between us is. You're too nice.
I'm not too nice.
He's too nice. He's won the past 2 years in a row. He's the correct amount of nice.
Exactly. And if I said I've won 2 years in a row, I'd say, get down there, Hunter. I pick first, and I take Game of the Year.
Well, here's the thing: is this year, and I know we're talking a bit like backyard kind of like takes here, but it's like this year. You two prepped for the and I specifically
I prepped
did
last year.
Yeah, but
it just didn't work out.
Yeah, no. This year I specifically did 0 prep. I didn't even write a list of games before we went into it because I was like, let's make it more interesting, and it has made it more interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it will have done it in the wrong way, and I've got to do now a lot of picks to just even kind of catch up at the most part. And so does Hunter, to be honest. But at the same time.
Oh, it's okay. Zelda's gonna crack 90. Resi's gonna crack 90. Street Fighter's gonna get 90.
I'm fucked. Spider-Man's gonna get an 88. Can guarantee
Very
that
probably.
Right now.
And if it comes
Hollow
out
Knight
this
might
year-
not come out. If Hollow Knight doesn't come out this year, by the way, I'll actually I'll go on record and say that genuinely. If Hollow Knight, no, I'm not saying that. I was like, if Hollow Knight comes out this year, I will stream Hogwarts Legacy and get cancelled. But that's not happening. I'm not putting my life on the line that much. But
yeah, dude, you'll end up on a list.
Exactly. I'll play Pikmin 4 if it doesn't come out. That's how desperate. That's how confident I am. I'll play Pikmin 4 if Hollow Knight doesn't come out. I don't want to get cancelled, but I'll at least be miserable.
Can I interest you in Octopath 2? You already own it.
No.
Okay, very cool.
And you can't interest me in Crash Team Rumble either, because we all know that Ethan's going to try and
You
platinum
can't
that
interest me
bitch.
in Crash Team Rumble.
If I need help with platinum trophy in it, Kyle, I'm not, you know who I'm knocking on
Go
the door.
talk to Jack.
No.
I'm not putting that on my record.
I need my good
Sam
friend
to do
Kyle.
it.
Oh, Sam will help me.
I
It'll
mean,
be the
Sam
only
and
time we
Jack
talk
played the
this year,
fucking
but,
Crash Infinite Runner.
Yeah, they played like
they have no
20 hours of
standards.
Crash on the Run. They'll
Oh
join
my
me for fucking
God.
anything, dude. They'll join me for anything. Oh dear. Oh well. Right. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's
talking about
we've run out of
video
talking.
games.
Links
We
are on
just
screen right
smacked our
I mentioned the
friends'
Forbidden
faces.
Game Hunter. We're just going to end it here right now. I also want to say, that was a joke. Please don't cancel me. I'm not playing the stupid wizard game. I have no plans. I can't play Metroid Prime. You think I'm going to play an open world game, bitch? Fuck no. I don't care. J.K. Rowling's a prick. There we go. We said it. We said the thing. We're good.
Fire Bobby Kotick.
Bye, Bobby Kotick. Warner Brothers, can you buy the Harry Potter IP, please, just so that people can stop having these arguments, so everyone can start arguing about the other problems with the Harry Potter IP, not just J.K. Rowling. Thank you.
like the actual IP.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be fun. Anyway, oh god. Just think, guys, it's still got another release in April and July. It's
We're gonna keep ignoring it.
Except for these little funny bits at the end when no one's here, except for the real
Exactly.
ones.
Yeah.
Anyway,
The real ones know the episode doesn't start until the last 5 minutes.
yeah, the real ones always know that Ethan's just shit talking by the end of it anyway, so nothing really makes sense, dude. Nothing really fucking makes sense. Anyway, if you want to keep up to date with the show, you can go follow us on Twitter at Hot Gamers Only and subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Hot Gamers Only. And hey, if you don't look at our stupid faces, that's cool too. You can head to your favorite podcast service such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it, we're on it. Head over there. You can listen to us wherever you want. 5-star reviews, please. We'd really appreciate it. And remember, subscribe. Please subscribe. Try and get to 200 subs. Let's just do it. Let's just keep saying it. Let's just get it done. Let's get 200 subs before Zelda's out. So then when Zelda comes out, there'll be 200 of you waiting, and then we just disappear off the face of the earth. That sounds like a great plan. I think it's pretty epic. Most anticipated game of the year, we just disappear, and then we come back for, like, Crash Team Rumble. It's going to be great. I feel like that's, like...
No. Stop trying to make that game happen, Ethan.
It will happen. It will happen.
Well, it will happen, but I'm not being involved in it.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back. If you somehow come from your high tower to last place in the Fantasy Critic League, I know what I'm forcing you to do, Kyle. And that is Platinum Crash Team Rumble.
Oh man.
So you better enjoy your high horse while you're on it, Kyle. You better keep that high horse because
my
my
horse
God.
is pretty nice right now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not too.
Just go play Elden Ring too. That way, Ethan, when he loses, won't just be like, "Do yours before I do mine." When you try to make him do something.
Yeah, but no. But here's the thing, right? Is right, I was going to mention this, but I was like, you know what? No, I'm not going to be petty. But fuck it, I'll be petty as shit, right? Kyle loses, and we go, your punishment, Kyle, is to play the highest rated game of 2022. When it comes to next year, and it's like, Ethan, your punishment is play this pile of dog shit, you piece of shit. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be like, play this garbage, or, you know, hey, Ethan, we heard that you hate this, so do this for eternity. That's what it's going to be. It's like, I feel like we were too kind on his punishment hunter. I feel like we should have got him to play Babylon's Fall before it closed, you know? Like,
say, Ethan, play this live service game until it closes. You have to do your dailies every day.
No, you know that's not going to happen, dude. I forget to take tablets. Never mind my dailies.
That will be when Ethan has to play Suicide Squad.
I don't know, does the punishment have to be playing a game that came out this year?
I don't know.
Please don't
I think it could
Suicide
have been
Squad,
anything.
please. Not Suicide Squad,
as-
please.
Yeah.
That's not fair. Elden Ring's good. Suicide Squad won't be. Anyway, we've fucking chatted shit enough. Right, the final 20 minutes. If you ever wondered what happens off the podcast, there you go. It's the final 20
It's
minutes of
this.
this garbage, dude. There you go. Oh well. Yeah, it's end of season, dude. We can do whatever we want. It's free roam. Anyway, that's all for this week. Join us next week, where there are no new games. I'll have probably played Psychonauts 2, but we might not talk about it because it might be a 3x3. We'll see.
Better be. I prepared one for this week. By mistake.
Fucking idiot. Anyway.
That's how I'll get these guys to actually prepare for the topics. Just have one up the sleeve that tell them we're gonna do it this week, and then be like, just kidding.
Look, that was the last thing I saw in the group chat, was we're doing 3x3 this week.
Well,
I didn't hear anything about
should've
play the Wo Long Dynasty demo.
Should have read the rest of it. Anyway, that's all for this week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week for whatever that is. But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.